Me the strength lightly to bear my joys and sorrows. Give me the strength to make my life fruitful in service. This is my prayer to thee, my Lord. Strike, strike at the root of penury in my heart.
Thank you, Akshaya. I now request Ms. Sarikankita, Head of the UG Department of Criminology, to welcome the gathering.
There is some technical issue, so just let's wait for a minute. Ma'am will rejoin.
Good morning. Very sorry, due to technical error, we're not able to start in time. Warm greetings to each one of you to this national webinar on forensic psychology, an emerging field. On behalf of our principal, Dr. Juliet CJ, management and staff of School of Social Work Roshni Nilaya, I, Sarik Ankita, Head, Department of Criminology, take pleasure to welcome our resource person, Mrs. Pooja Tomar, Forensic Psychologist and Founder Director of Center for Forensic and Clinical Psychology. We warmly welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
And immensely pleasured by your presence. To all the delegates, your presence means a lot to us. We are deeply appreciative and offer you our most grateful welcome. A heartily welcome to all my dear students and colleagues. I thank our principal, Dr. Juliet CJ, for her constant support and guidance, which has made this virtual session possible. Even in her absence, she has extended her best wishes to all the delegates who are participating in this national webinar. Hope you all benefit from this enriching session.
Thank you, ma'am. Forensic psychology has been of great interest to many and has been emerging rapidly. There are many queries, misconceptions which have popped up regarding this field. To enlighten us on today's topic, we are privileged to have with us one of the leading experts in this field.
Mrs. Pooja Tomar, a forensic psychologist who has been working in prison centers, observation homes, and NGOs. She is a founder and director of Center for Forensic and Clinical Psychology. She is an empaneled psychologist in Juvenile Justice Board, Delhi, and is working in rehabilitation and providing mental health support. She was a capacity support officer for Delhi Police and for the Master of Health Administration project. She has also worked with Defense of Research and Development Organization, Delhi. She has a vast experience in handling the investigation tools in forensic psychology. We are extremely lucky and honored to have you as our resource person for today's session. Ma'am, I now request you to take in the session.
Thank you so much, Aradhana, for such a beautiful introduction. Thank you, Sharik ma'am, for again giving me this opportunity. And last not the least, this Roshni Nilaya College that is actually taking lots of interest in this field, and they are doing again and again webinars and seminars on this topic, which is actually a need of this time. Thank you so much, everyone. And yes, I would like to welcome you all, the students who are present over here. Some name I can recognize again. Now, if you are new, I hope this is going to be a enriching and a knowledgeable session for all of you. So, should we start, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so as the topic, you all know forensic psychology and emerging field. So that is true, that is a new field and it is emerging. But emerging means that is rapidly emerging, and lots of new legislators, lots of new agencies are coming in working forensic psychology. Our government is focusing on forensic psychology, and they are actually recognize the need of forensic psychology nowadays. So in last 5 to 10 years, you can see there is a rapid change in the need of forensic psychology and the recognition of forensic psychology. So today I'm going to discuss about how it is emerging, what are the scopes of forensic psychology, and whosoever wants to become a forensic psychologist, then what are the opportunities they have. So we will be starting with the very basic thing, that is introduction, because I guess few people are there who do not have the basic background also, but that's why I'll start with the introduction, but moreover we are going to focus on the scope of this field in the current scenario. So give me a moment, I'll share my PPT with you. I hope it is visible to everyone. So thank you, and thank you for being here on this national level webinar on forensic psychology. As Aradhana introduced me, I'm Pooja Tomar and I'm a forensic psychologist. I would like to tell you about myself as well, so that you people can understand who can be the forensic psychologist. So I have done my bachelor's in psychology, master's in clinical psychology. It was psychology, but in last semester we have a specialization in that. I choose clinical psychology. So master's in psychology, and then I did MPhil in forensic psychology. So that's how my career in forensic psychology gets started. So you people also, if you are doing masters in forensic in psychology or forensic psychology, both are okay, and you can become a forensic psychologist after that. Today's webinar I have divided into few parts. First of all, there are few facts and myths which I would like to discuss with you guys. Then a little bit introduction will do. Then majorly we will focus on the scope of forensic psychologist and need of forensic psychologist in the field, and lastly you need to know the challenges which we are right now facing, so that you can be prepared for those challenges. And whenever you will go into the field, that should not be that should nothing be new for you. You will be already aware, okay, these are the challenges and how we need to cope up with those challenges. So let's get started with the myth and fact. Without taking too much time on this, I would like to read those statements, and I'll tell you what are myths and what are the facts in these statements. So we all have some preconception about any topic, any content, or any field, any profession. So in forensic psychology also, lots of people have few myths and few obviously facts they know. So the first thing is, few people think forensic psychology, forensic science, criminology, all are same field. But these are not the same field. These are different fields, and different kind of people with the different skill set work in these fields. Few people think forensic psychologists just work as a criminal profiler, and their work is to do the profiling, and profiling is to be done in each crime. Again, this is not the truth. Forensic psychologists have lots of other scope. Criminal profiling is just a part of their work. Somebody can be a profiler, somebody cannot. As if you will take my example, I'm not a criminal profiler, right? I'm working in some other setups, so I'm not a criminal profiler. Plus profiling we need in lots of those cases where we do not know who is the perpetrator, who had committed the crime. So to find out that person on the basis of crime scene and the physical evidence available to you, we try to make profile. So in those cases where perpetrator or the offender is very clear cut, in those cases profiling is not needed. Few people think forensic psychologists solve the crime. They visit the crime scene. Again, this is not the truth. They do not directly solve the crime. Yes, they help the interrogators, investigators. They give them lead, like what can be the options, what can be the opportunities and chances. And due to their with the help of forensic tools also, they give some lead to the crime investigation, but directly they do not solve. And in India, till now, forensic psychologists do not visit crime scene as such. If they are indulged in any other work, maybe they are working in the forensic labs, and for any other thing they need to go, maybe for counseling the victim, maybe for handling the rape survivor. So in those cases, sometimes they go, but not usually. Forensic psychologist only interrogates criminal suspect. Whenever we have forensic psychology word, we always think, okay, we are going to work with the criminals, we'll see their psychology and everything. You are not just limited to the criminals. You have to understand this thing. You have a very broad aspect. You work with the victims, you work with the eyewitness, you work with the children, you work with the civil matters like divorce matters, will matters, property matters. There are lots of areas where forensic psychologists can work. We'll discuss further. Then forensic psychologists only work for court cases. This is again, few people are having myth that forensic psychologists are limited to the court. No, I'll tell you where else you can work. Then again, forensic psychologists only work on the murder case. No, we are indulged in the criminal as well as civil cases. Forensic psychologists workplace in jail and courtroom. We again not limited to the jail and courtroom. We work in the lab, forensic lab, we work in the NGOs, we work in the other setups in the criminal justice system with police, and other things are there. And few people have this myth that to become a forensic psychologist, you require a law degree. Again, this is a myth. We do not require a law degree. Yes, always having knowledge of law would be advantage, but it is not compulsory to do a law degree. In fact, it is not at all needed, because you are a psychologist, you are not a lawyer. So you should know the psychology of the person. Law things, knowledge of law would be advantage, but you are not going to be a lawyer. So multi-work you cannot do with the person. So it is okay if you are masters in psychology, and that is enough to become a forensic psychologist. I hope everyone is clear till here and it is understood to everyone. Yes? Please let me know in the comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, done. Now, moving ahead, there is, as I said initially, these are different things: forensic psychology, criminal psychology, criminology, and forensic science. Why I emphasize on this thing, like why they are different, how they are different field, why we cannot consider it as a one field. So my dear students, you need to understand, if we will combine all field all together, so what will happen, the work will obviously will be overlap. Because we are psychologists, so our work is going to be overlap, that is for sure, because first we are psychologists, then we are moving towards the criminal, forensic, or criminology. That is a different thing. Somewhere we'll get overlap. But if we are unable to understand the difference between these fields, then we won't be able to decide what actually I want to become, in which field I want to work, right? So that's how you need to understand this. Those people who have criminology background, they need to understand what is their core area, what are their roles and responsibility, and where they can use their skill perfectly. Those who are in criminal psychology or wants to become a criminal psychologist, they need to understand where actually my this particular training education is going to be benefited. If you would like to work on every aspect of the criminal, then obviously you are not going to be a expert in that field. So that's why you need to know the clear difference. Then you can choose, okay, I want to work in this field. At least you will be knowing your roles and responsibility. So let's take one by one. The forensic psychologist, basically the major role of forensic psychologist, they try to determine whether the defendant was mentally stable or insane at the time of crime, when he committed the crime, right? So major focus of forensic psychologist is to understand the mentality, or the mental and physical capacity of the person for committing the crime. And these reports generally they submit to the court. They also specialized in aftermath of a crime, including evaluating a suspect's mental state or counseling victim and their families. Means if somebody has already committed the crime, right now what is the state of mental health of this person, what is the mental health of the victim, as well as sometimes they work with the family. Okay, this is the major work. Other things also include that we will discuss in the scope. Now, what is the criminal psychologist? They focus primarily on the determining a motive and creating a profile of the perpetrator. Why do criminals do what they did? So their focus is to understand the motive of committing crime, intention and will of the person, like why they committed the crime, why this person is only committing the crime, what is the psychology of this particular person who is committing crime. Criminal psychologists also try to understand and examine why certain people commit crimes. Their finding and analysis are often assessed in case and legal trials. Means sometimes you give reports to for the bail or payroll of the person as well. Now, third is criminologist. So criminologists are not psychologists. They have studied psychology, but they are not psychologists. So they have a very different role. Basically, they study all in and outs of the crime. They are not just related to the psychology. They study the sociology aspect, economic aspect, the policy aspect, everything they study in criminology, and they go into various fields as well. Criminologists do a specific study of the non-legal aspect of crime and delinquency. So they can be in the legal aspect as well, but majorly they are involved in the non-legal, which is, as I said, social, economic, advocacy, policies at the government level, what is happening in the prison, and all these things.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Ma'am, okay. Right now the slide changed.
Okay.
The slide was at the facts and myths one,
Okay,
so
okay.
that's why. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, please let me know if again it happens. Okay, so criminologist includes to understand the cause, correction, and prevention of the criminal behavior. Not just the criminal, but all the aspect of criminal behavior, and also it works with the related people. Related people can be the victim, can be the society, can be the government, can be the state, center, anyone. So criminologists gather statistics and identify patterns also means they are into more research. Criminologists offer their knowledge and training in sociology and psychology to present explanation and theories for why crime occurs. Why crime occurs means what is the cause behind committing crime. Not just they are focusing on one individual, but they are focusing on the whole aspect of crime and what leads a criminal offender to act. So these are the basic difference, but again, remember this, they do overlap, but as a forensic psychologist, criminal psychologist, criminologist, you should know what are your core role and responsibility. Only then you can be able to work properly. I hope this difference is clear. Now let's move further to the next slide. That is, now what is forensic psychology involved? If majorly we talk about forensic psychology, so it is a combination of three fields. Three fields include psychology, law, and criminal justice system. Psychology, what we study in our bachelor's and master's, that psychology. Law means if you are working in the court, so some aspect of the code, some aspect of the law you should know, because you are going to deal with those person who have some criminal charges, or maybe somehow they are related to the crime. So at least you should know what is bail, what is payroll, what are the charges for murder, and all these things, how to behave in the court, what are the decorum of the courts, and everything you need to know. And third is criminal justice system. It includes your police, court, prison, and organization working with the legal system. So criminal justice system include all these things. So forensic psychologists basically work in all these fields, and it is a combination of all these three fields, forensic psychology. So after that, now we need to understand what was the need of forensic psychology. Initially, if you will see the history before 50 years, 70 years, there were no forensic psychologists were there, and in India, we were not using the forensic psychology. Yes, in abroad, in overseas, people were using psychology in the criminal field, psychology in the court, but again, forensic psychologist word was not as such there. So what was the need in forensic psychology, especially in Indian scenario we are talking? So what happened after the independence, as we started progressing, right? We started developing. So as we were developing, our criminals and their brain, their mind were also developing. As we were creating and developing new techniques for the competition from other countries, and for the development of our country, our citizen, everything. So same time, criminals were also progressing. So as generation progress, new advancement are made in the world. Criminals have become more still. Now they were also having new advanced technique to commit the crime. Due to the advancement in the technology, the modus operandi of the average criminal has become cleverer. Means how to save ourselves from the apprehension of the police. So all these things they were learning by the time. So there the modus operandi of the average criminal has become cleverer with his interaction at the crime scene. Currently, lesser and lesser physical evidence is found at the crime scene. This leaves the criminal justice system to restore to expert advice of forensic psychologist to help them assimilate a profile to track the culprit down. So because we were getting less physical evidence at the crime scene, now we are unable to understand who commit the crime. So then people think now we need help of forensic psychologists, we need to call them, and we need to take help from the forensic psychologists, like if they can create some criminal profiling, or the polygraph came in that time. Then they wanted to help a forensic psychologist with the help of polygraph and all. Now what happened, because in our country, forensic psychology started with the polygraph and FSL lab. So our thinking and the idea of forensic psychology was just limited to the forensic science labs. Till date, if I'll ask someone as a forensic psychologist what you can do, where you can work, they say in forensic sciences laboratory, because that was the starting point, and we were more into the forensic labs only. We could not explore more options for the forensic psychology. Whereas if you'll go outside in other countries, you will see forensic psychologists are working at the very broad aspect in the lots of organization at various positions that today I'm going to discuss with you. Till now, I guess it is clear to everyone. If there is anything you want to ask, you can ask before we are going ahead.
It's clear, ma'am.
Yes, okay. Now we are moving toward the scope of forensic psychology. It's visible, my slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
now it's a question for you guys. How many of you, if I'll ask, what is the date of forensic psychology in India? Anybody can tell me how many forensic psychologists are there in India? Any idea?
Around 200 maybe.
200.
Just to guess.
Okay. Okay. Number of forensic psychologists in India, basically we do not know, because it is not written anywhere. There is no data of forensic psychologists working in India. If you are going to find out how many clinical psychologists are there, you will get a data, because RCI is there who is regulating the clinical psychologist. But in forensic, there is as such no organization, nobody is working upon that. So we actually do not know. If I'll ask you how many number of forensic psychologists working in prison, again, nobody knows that, because again, we do not have data. Number of forensic psychologists working in the court, again, we do not know, because we do not have data. These things are not written or recorded anywhere. There are two reasons. One reason is there are not much people in this field who are working as a forensic psychologist. So it is not needed. Until unless we are not in a big number, nobody is going to take care, first of all. Second thing, we are not doing good researches. Researches means being a forensic psychologist, it is our duty to do good research, to publish our work, and to make its advocacy in front of government. So we ourselves are not doing very good work being a forensic psychologist. Other people who are not from the forensic psychology field, they are working in the prison, in the court, and at other places, and they are publishing the work. But if we are not doing good work, so obviously nobody is going to take concern about ourselves. So that is the scenario of forensic psychologists right now. So number of forensic psychologists you do not know. Maybe from your own idea you can tell like 100, 200, that is okay. But in last 3-4 months only, I would say the things are changing. Now the State University of Forensic Sciences get converted into the Central University. So it means now people, like the government has started taking cognizance of all these things. So they said forensic science and the forensic, all the field are very important for us, and we should do something about that. So there were two universities which were dedicated for the forensic psychology and the forensic field, the criminology and the police. So both now they have converted in the Central University, and it is a big achievement for those who are working in the forensic field. So guys, first of all, we should be in a good number. Only then somebody is going to look on us. Secondly, we need to do lots of research, like how a psychologist can be benefited in all these areas. We have lots of study from the abroad, but if you want to see the studies from India, the number is very less. This is the scenario. Now let's discuss the scope in forensic psychology. I guess this is the most important topic for you guys. You all wanted to know what are the scope in forensic psychology. See, again, these terms may be new to you because we do not use these terms or these names in India right now. But in USA, Canada, UK, I'm following those countries for so long, and I have seen they have all these labels, they have all these positions in forensics, but we do not have. So this is the scope for you guys, what you can become in forensic field also. So the first one is forensic interviewer. So this is the position where these professionals basically conduct interviews of victims in criminal cases. So you are taking interviews of victims and you try to help victims recall crime details. Interviewers can provide critical information to law enforcement officials and prosecutors. With the help of your interview, you will be able to tell like what actually happened with the victim, what is the position of the victim, and if anything very important in the case, the detail that victim was not able to tell at the first interview or initially, then you again can conclude that. So we think it is not very much important, but you can imagine a situation. Suppose there in any family there are 5-6 people are there, and suddenly somebody got killed. Okay, one member of your family got killed, and your family member. Now suddenly police comes in and they start asking you what happened, where were you, what were you doing. So what would be your mental state? How you will be able to give interview? Your mother, father, grandfather, or anyone got killed, and here they are asking lots of information, and they want you to give information at that particular time, because police do not focus as such on your psychology of victim. For example, the basic example of road accident. Suppose 2-3 friends were going somewhere and one road accident happened and one friend got killed. Now can you see the mental state of other people who have seen their friend dying in front of their eyes? And just after that 15 minutes, 20 minutes, police comes in and they start asking questions. You think the victim was actually in the condition to give the interview? So whatever they will tell, what is the accuracy of that statement? So here, as a forensic interviewer, you can take care of all these aspects, and then you can help the investigators in taking the interview of victims in the criminal cases. Second is forensic case manager. This is again one more profession they are using. The forensic case manager is a human service professionals who manage a variety of case and interventions. So it is not just related to the criminal cases, but variety of cases you take care. And also you also help offenders navigate the complication of post-sentence. Means suppose you are working in the prison, there are lots of people who had convicted for 20 years, 30 years, lifetime, 15 years, 8 years. Now after 8 years, after 10 years, being in the prison, being as a prisoner, what they will do, where they will go, what kind of life they are going to have, how they are going to face the society. So all these things you can work as a forensic case manager. So in any case you will take, you will be the manager of that case, and as a psychologist you can help them to find out the various opportunities after opportunities post sentence, as well as you also can take care of that particular case to prevent them for repeating their crime in future, because re-offending is a major problem for us. There are people who go out and they again commit crime and they come back. So what rehabilitation we are providing, what is the effect of rehabilitation, that is again questionable. The third thing what you can do, few people are working as adult forensic psychologists. In India, we do not have people who are into adult forensic psychology or child forensic psychology. We have just forensic psychologists. So what adult forensic psychologists do, they examine, treat, and testify on behalf of the adult patients regarding the mental state. So adult forensic psychologists provide crucial input to the legal cases, including litigation where criminal competence in regard to custody, child welfare, domestic abuse, sex offense, and other violent crime is of primary concern. So as a forensic psychologist, again, you cannot work in all the fields. Means you are working with the children, you are working with the adults, you are working with the eyewitnesses, you are working with the prisoners. No, you can't. Again, you have to have one specification. So this is again one field where you can work. Adult forensic psychologist can also provide expert testimony, consultation, and professional training to the legislators or the prison staffs. Another forensic psychologists are child and family forensic psychologists. They especially work in the civil cases and with the child and with the family. This concentration focus on psychological assessment and treatment of the children. As I told you that there are cases of divorce. In divorce cases, always you need to understand the custody issue. Who will take the custody of the child? Parents, like mother, father, grandparents, or anyone else. Another thing which you need to take care, child abuse. If any kind of abuse is happening with the child in the family. So these type of cases, being a child and family psychologist, you need to take care. And another position is there, that is school forensic psychologist. It is a very new term, school forensic psychologist. You must have heard school counselor, but school forensic psychologists are those people who take care about the delinquent behavior and the conduct behavior of the people. They work on the aggression issues, plus if there is any kind of delinquent behavior the child is showing. They also work on the parent skill training for these purposes, not for the examination, for the marks and the progress in the school and all these. No, you have different role. Counselor would be having different role. Forensic psychologist would be having different role. Anger management training, divorce adjustment counseling for children, and parental communication skill training. That as a school forensic psychologist, you can take care. Then another field is forensic neuropsychologist. It is not new for India as well. Now we have few neuropsychologists and they are working in the forensic field. So they study how psychological and physiological brain disorder and condition impact brain function. Due to that, person commits some crime. They commit crime because they are having neuropsychological problems. And after studying all these things, you can become a neuropsychologist. They also examine these area of brain and others to determine the risk of criminal reoffending. If somebody is having neuropsychological problem, there are high chances that again there are high chances they will reoffend. So in that case, what kind of treatment you can give, what kind of facility rehabilitation you should give, what should be the jury selection on the bail or payroll of the person, their psychologist can play a very important role. Then law enforcement forensic psychologist. This is again a new term for India. We do not have as such law enforcement forensic psychologists, but these psychologists specialize in this area and they are trained to apply principles of psychological practice to the law enforcement field. Basically, these are the people who work with the lawyers. Often they require to maintain expertise in both fields in order to fully understand situation which they overlap. So if you work with specifically with the lawyers in law firms, then obviously little bit more knowledge of law you should know. And the knowledge is also important so that you can communicate with the lawyer in their own language, because every profession has their own language. So that's why this is important for you. Till here, I hope everyone is clear what can be the scopes of forensic psychology, which is till date unexplored and people do not know much about this. Yes, let me know.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes, Lakshmi.
Ma'am, so do you have to do your MPhil to become a forensic psychologist? Or if you become...
Yes.
Okay, ma'am. And also, under the scope, there's a forensic interviewer and forensic case manager, right, ma'am? So, do they also do forensic psychology and then become forensic interviewers and forensic case managers?
Okay, Akshay, I did MPhil in forensic psychology. That was my interest. But it is not compulsory for everyone to go for the MPhil. But yes, see, in psychology, higher degree is always preferable. Maybe it's MPhil, maybe it's your PhD. Only then you can have a skill set, right? But your master's in psychology is enough to get into in this field. Then you can work under some trained people. You can do PhD as well instead of MPhil. You can do PsyD as well to get the skill set. The basic requirement is just master's in psychology in India. In abroad, PhD is compulsory to become a forensic psychologist, and it is a licensed program. In India, it is not licensed yet. So MPhil was my own choice because I wanted to learn, and that was the first time forensic psychology was introduced. So I guess there were nobody to tell us also. So it is not again compulsory nahi. Yeah.
And ma'am, so how do you know that, or how can you become a forensic interviewer instead of a child or family forensic psychology?
These are only labels, dear. These are only labels to give you a brand, you can say.
Okay, ma'am, got it.
I'm a forensic psychologist, you are forensic psychologist. What is the difference between Pooja and Akshaya? So Akshaya can create a different field for her. Like I am a forensic case manager. So I specifically work with those people. So that's how people are going to recognize you.
Yes, ma'am, got it.
Yeah. Okay, let's move ahead. I have few more slides. Okay, now that was a scope for you guys, what you can become, how you can go ahead in this field. Now, how you can work. In field, how you are going to work. Suppose if you are working with the police as a forensic psychologist, so you have to understand the police psychology, and to work with the police, these work you can do. Number one, you can assist police in developing psychological profile of offender, which will help them in the interrogation. You as a psychologist can train police officer to how to deal with mentally ill citizens. There are lots of cases when I was working in Delhi police, I observed there are lots of people are coming, those who are having mental illness or mental problem, but police people are not able to recognize because they are not trained and they just call themselves mad, pagal, or they just do not take care of the cases because they are like, it is, you know, their daily routine to come to the police station. So let it be. Do not focus on them. Let them roam around here. So how you supposed to deal with the mental ill citizen. As a psychologist, you can train and sensitize these people. Then you can provide counseling service to officers after a shooting or any kind of stressful incident. So there are, suppose there is any uh, riots or any kind of stressful situation occurs, so who's the first person who go to the place? Not me and you being a psychologist. Only police officers are the one who go over there to at least make the peace at that time. But lots of time they face very, very stressful, heinous, brutal cases, and that impact them very badly, their mental state as well. They are also human being like us. From you in you and me also, now there are lots of people who cannot see a picture of blood or a person who is dead. They can't see. So how we can expect every police officer will be trained for all these things? So as a psychologist, you also can train them for specifically for these people, and you can do counseling as well. We have counselors in Navy and Army, but we do not have as such counselor in Delhi Police. For them, we have counselors who counsel victims, but counselors who counsel police, that is very less, I guess. I haven't seen as such means. Then you can provide support service to the family of law enforcement officers. Counseling to the police officer is a different thing, and also is a family of police officer, family of defense personals. Again, the psychology of those family is really, really important to understand, and you can be a counselor or psychologist for particularly those type of family. As I told you, in Navy and in Army we have, but for police we do not have. That was one field where you can work right now. Another is psychology of crime and delinquency. So the word delinquency itself shows, means you can work with those people who are less than 18 and they are indulged in somewhere crime. So first of all, you can start with the school. As I said, as a school forensic psychologist, what you can do after becoming a school forensic psychologist, you can evaluate the effectiveness of preschool intervention strategies which are designed to prevent violent behavior during adolescence, which is, again, you won't see in schools. No, majorly school do not entertain these type of strategies because they do not expect, like in our school also there are violent people. But you people know, because you just came from the school, there are lots of issues happen with the adolescent, majorly with the male who are in the school. They are indulged into the fights, into the group and gangs and everything. But school do not take care of all these things. They just take care about the exam and the performance and all these factors. So you as a forensic psychologist can work upon these things. You can conduct research on development of psychopathy. What was the factor happened with this particular child, so he developed psychopathy? Because all are studying in same school, but one is indulged in the criminal behavior or delinquent behavior. If I'll give you example of Rayan case in the Gurugram, he killed a 7-year boy Pradyuman. So what was the reason behind that? Nobody concerned about that child, and finally he became a criminal. Now he is in prison. You can consult with legislators and government agencies as a research policy advisor. If you will work on the adolescent, only then you can make a policy like what changes should be there, and then you can report that to the government agency as well. Obviously it will take time, but you can think upon it. You can consult with the school personals on identifying troubled youth who are potentially dangerous. And you also can develop a psychological test for assessing risk among the mentally ill. Again, in a school, we just applying career counseling, career skill test, or these things. We are not focusing on the forensic aspects. And if you will see, our juvenile homes, observation homes are again filled with those juveniles. It is not like we do not have juvenile delinquents. We do have, and they all are coming from this area only, this age, and they all are coming from this school only. So with juveniles, you can work. Now, another field is victimology and victim service. How you can work with victims. You can evaluate and treat persons who are victims of crime. You can work with them. You can conduct psychological assessment for them if they have some personal injury matters, somebody is having sexual harassment. So, you know what happens in court, proving all these things is a bit difficult. So as a psychological, with the help of psychological assessment, you can give some add-on to the case. You can educate and train victim service provider also. Victim service providers are like the police, the NGOs, the social worker. These people are there. But what they do focus on their particular area. Means police will focus on the crime angle. The social worker will focus on the social work angle. But as a psychologist, you have to tell them every time, if you are dealing with human being, you need to take care of their psychology as well, because psychology is always there if you are dealing with human being, and every human being have different psychology. So you can train victim service provider as well how to deal with victims. Then you can yourself assess, support and counsel those who provide death notification service. This is a service we do not provide in India, but in abroad it happens. What happens whenever any death occurs? So a team of people go to the family and they provide a death notification, and in the team there is a psychologist always who that time they counsel the family member so that they should not have any negative effect of this death notification. So it is not privileged right now, it's not prevailing in India. Then you can educate service provider on the impact of multiculturalism when victims seek mental health and support service. Another field is legal psychology. This is again, you are going to work with the lawyers as a law enforcement forensic psychologist, you can say. Then you can conduct child custody evaluations over there. Then visitation risk assessment means if father will come visit more than twice, more than thrice, or less than twice, less than thrice, then what can be the risk to the child mental health. And also child abuse evaluation, if any kind of abuse happened with the child. You can also assist attorney in the jury selection through community survey and other research methods. This is again right now not happening in India, but I hope and I wish within few years we will include all these things in our profession. Obviously we have to work for that. Then you can perform evaluation of a defendant's competency to stand trial. Means the person who is in the prison or who is in the court, was he able or is he able to face the trial or not? He is understanding all the legal things are happening or not. So you can do this evaluation as well. You can consult with attorneys and courts concerning custody decision, conflict resolution, and other psychological condition evaluation you can do. And you can conduct competency evaluation for the civil court. Civil court as in if there is a case of bail, a will or divorce. In this also you can tell the person is actually competent enough to create a will or not. Is he competent enough to get the insurance or not? And all these things, as a psychologist, you can do assessment. And the last one is correctional psychologist. This is the prison psychologist, you can say, or the forensic psychologist who work in the prison. First of all, you can create or you can work on the screening procedure of correctional officers' position. We need to look this aspect in little depth. So we are talking about the rehabilitation of the prisoners, and we say we are sending a person for so many years in the prison to rehabilitate. But if those people who are at the officer position and they do not have this mentality like these people are to rehabilitate, if they are having mentality like they are here to get punishment, so both are controversial, and that's how your rehabilitation idea is not going to work. So first of all, we should work. If screening is not possible, at least we can give some kind of training to make them sensitized. And there are lots of trainings keeps happening in the Tihar prison. When I was there, we were part of the lots of training where we train the prison officers. Then we can assess the inmate entering prison for both mental health need and suitability for prison programs. Because we talk about the rehabilitation, first of all, we need to know what is the state of the person, mental health. Second, we also need to know how we are going to rehabilitate. You just by your choice cannot send them to any work. Go and work in the furniture, go and work in the jewelry shop, go and work somewhere. Means in prison also we have lots of vocational training program. So it is always better first understand the need of the person and then provide him some work. Then only your rehabilitation works are going to work. Then you can provide individual and group treatments. You can evaluate the effectiveness of programs, whatever program you are running, maybe life skill training, maybe sexual offender programs, maybe a drug abuse program, victim offender reconciliation program. So as a psychologist, you can see the effectiveness. Actually, it is effective or it is not effective. On which kind of offenders it is effective. So as a psychologist, you can do this. Develop a stress management program for correctional personnel. These are the people who live 24 hours with the criminal minds or the difficult minds. So obviously the situation gets stressful for them also. So time to time, you also can do stress management, emotional intelligence, intelligent learning, or time management and other programs for the correctional personnel as well. So that was it about the scope. Lastly, these are the places where you can work. You can start with some NGO. Forensic Sciences Laboratory also have forensic psychologist, but again, it is a matter of vacancy. Vacancy will be there, then you can apply. The basic requirement is MA Psychology, so don't worry for that. Forensic, lots of private organizations are there. Initially, you can attach with them also. Police, in whatever state you are living, you can connect with the police through NGOs or any other way you have to find out. Courts are hiring psychologists and counselor. You can start work from there. And the law firms are there. You can go to the advocates, law firms. You can tell them how your psychological reports are going to benefit in the case. Then they maybe would like to collaborate with you. And lastly, the work you can do in the prison, maybe at the time of sentence, post sentence. I have told you already in the scope how you can work. You can go and start working over there. And this is the summary what we have learned today. So where you can work. Yeah, challenges. Just you need to know. First of all, it's a new field, so obviously you have to do little bit struggle. Struggle means in establishing yourself. Till date, we do not have very clear guidelines to become a forensic psychologist. That's why MA is okay. And it is also not very much clear who can become a forensic psychologist, who cannot. Just psychology background should be there. We do not have much trained people who can give you different skill set in working different areas. So we have professors, we have teachers, but again, they are teaching. So they can teach you. Now when you need a skill set, so you have to go to the field. So we have limited trained people, so you have to get training from those. It is all, again, not a licensed program. That's why we do not have clear guidelines. And yet it is not established as a scientific field. Why I am saying this? In forensic laboratory also, our reports are considered as corroborative evidence, not the first evidence. So we are working, let's see, and we hope we will get scientific establishment as well. So that was it about my presentation. I hope everyone enjoyed. And this is for you guys. How are you feeling? I would like to know after listening all these. all the scopes and everything. Ma'am, done from my side. If students have any question, they can ask.
Ma'am, what is death notification service?
Death notification means if somebody got dead in maybe Navy, Army, or maybe in some accident somewhere. So you have to give one notification to the family, means the death certification you give, no, like this person dead on this day due to this problem. So when you give in India, what we do, we have to go to the authority to take that
Yes.
certificate, right?
Yeah.
Abroad, particularly a team usually go to the family and they provide them death certificate, and that time also they do counseling of the family members if they feel they need.
Okay, ma'am, got it.
Thank you, ma'am, for enhancing our knowledge about the forensic psychology. I now request Miss Valerie of second BA to moderate the session.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for this very informative session and sharing your experiences about this field. So now we are open for questions. So if anyone here has any questions, doubts, queries regarding the session or the field of forensic psychology, you can drop in the questions in the chat box, or you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question.
I hope people get to know about the scope of forensic psychology. Again, it is not limited to a particular field or to a particular organization. We have a vast scope to do lot of work. Yes, but you have to go into the field. You have to start working. Only then you are going to get the opportunity. No question. How is it possible?
Ma'am, I have a question. So basically, even forensic psychologists are working. Some of them probably work even 24/7 with criminal minds and all that, just to assess them and try to understand why this is happening. So when that happens, isn't it a little disturbing? Do they go and see psychologists, the counselors, or something as well? Or is it fine because you're just assessing it? Does it affect your mental health or not really?
Means you are saying psychologists work 24/7.
Yes, ma'am. If some of them, or even once in a while, even if they're going to go and talk to criminals and all that, the kind of thoughts that they have might not be very. It might be a little disturbing, right? So, in cases of that, do they just go and visit a counselor themselves, or does it not affect them as much? Is it just for assessment purposes and that's it, or yeah?
Yeah, again, it is depend on the individual to individual. Suppose maybe I can get affected, but you cannot. So it is my choice. If I affected, I want to share with someone, so I can go to some counselor. There is nothing bad to consult with a psychologist and counselor. It is okay. But when usually you work in this field, as I said, police are working in this field, and the prison officers are there 24/7 with the criminals. So after a time, you get to learn lots of things, like how to deal with it. It is just a case. I should not take it personally. I should not be very empathetic, but at least I need to understand this person. So with me, it happens. I'm obviously in psychologist role, but they do not affect me literally, like that personally do not affect me. I understand that this is a case that happened with them. They did that is okay. But as a psychologist now, how I need to handle this case, this is my first perspective to see the case. So it again depends individual to individual. There are lots of counselors who work with me, and whenever they used to hurt some case and they come to me, ma'am, how can they do this? He did rape. Oh my God, they planned. How it can happen? How can they do that? So I used to tell them, it is okay. If you are in forensic, you have to, hear lots of study on daily basis. So you have to be a little bit strong to hear all these things.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Thank you so much for this.
But if somebody is getting affected, so it is better to go and discuss with someone. So there is no harm.
Yes, ma'am. Like a
You get
counselor.
some
Ma'am.
skill.
Yeah.
You'll
Yes.
get more skill to handle the problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there more questions?
Ma'am, I have another question.
Yes, ask.
So, ma'am, forensic clinical psychologist and forensic psychologist is the same thing, right? Or do you?
Same. As I said, in whatever field we are working, that's how we give label to ourselves.
Got it, ma'am. Got it.
So if you are especially working with the patient who are clinically having disorders like schizophrenia, anxiety, and those have committed some crime also. So then you will say, I am working as a forensic clinical psychologist, or I am working forensic clinical patient. So that's how.
Okay, ma'am. Got it.
Okay. Rohit says, is there any movement towards a rehabilitation system like Finland, Sweden, when re-incarceration is 20% rather than a punishment system where re-incarceration is 80%? What is the forensic psychologist leader in this field view on the above? So again, yes, lots of new policies and new programs are coming in. We are having lots of movies as well to make them aware about the prison system. And in Rajasthan also there is a movie, the government only worked on that movie, and they have shown the prison as a road to reform. Like, it is not a place where you'll get punishment. It is a road to reform. If you come here, we are going to reform you. So yes, we are working on it, but till date, we do not have facilities like Finland and Sweden, because we are focusing on the people when they are in the prison. After going from the prison, or you can say post-sentence, again, somewhere we are lacking and we are not able to work on that aspect, which is the most important aspect. What we are doing, we are teaching them lots of things, and again we are leaving them in the society on their free will, and in the same society from there they came in. So the work which we should do in the society, that is somewhere lacking. But yes, prison system is changing, and they are focusing on the rehabilitation mostly, not punishment.
That's wonderful, ma'am.
Yes.
That's wonderful, ma'am.
Yeah. So yes,
Ma'am,
that's in prison.
question.
In prison, we have lots of vocational training programs. In fact, if I have worked in the prison as a psychologist, you can see it's a change. They call a psychologist to counsel them. So it is a change, but yes, it's still lots of vacancies, not vacancies. What I say, scope is there. I was just one psychologist, and I feel there should be at least 10 to 15 psychologists. Only then we will be able to cater that much population. So there we are lacking, but yes, on every day I am seeing and hearing people are working in the rehabilitation focused program for these people.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, if I may ask,
yeah,
do you all have a record of statistics? Do they show improvement on the number of reincarceration cases?
So you can go to the NCRB record. Sarit ma'am, you wanted to say something? You are on mute. Okay, so NCRB record, National Crime Record Bureau, and they have recorded every kind of data, whatever they want to. Obviously, they can publish, or they want to tell the society. They have published everything in that, like how many females were there, males were there, and what they have done, everything. So re-offenses also, juvenile also. So I guess you will get data from there. Also, particular prison site also you can visit. Like I know about Tihar prison, that is Delhi prison. I don't know about other prison website. They have updated or not. But Tihar prison also updated the data. what are their education background, how many male were educated, non-educated, and everything they have written over there. And yes, they record all these things. I don't know how much they publish, but they record. When I have worked in the prison, I have seen they have every kind of record of the person, how many times he came, in which case, in how many days he went from the prison, and everything they have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Ma'am, so as soon as you've finished your MPhil, or okay, if I finish my master's in forensic psychology, will there be job placements, or do I apply for a job?
Okay, so Akshay, again, you need to understand, in psychology field as such, in any subfield of psychology, you do not get job placement, right? If you do clinical psychology, sports psychology, organization psychology, there are not job placement. You have to go to the places where they need these kind of people. So I would suggest, do not wait for the job placements or something. If you have done forensic psychology, you want to work in forensics field, start searching job in related NGOs or organization. Start applying in whatever the vacancy you got related to the psychology and which field is related to the forensic setups. As if I'll share my experience, initially I applied for the one position that was senior psychologist position, but that was a job in one children home. So they didn't knew that we want forensic psychologists, but I knew that I can apply my skills over there being a forensic psychologist. So I applied for that senior psychologist post and I got selected, and I started working with the courts and these children's. That's how I utilize my skill, and slowly and gradually, obviously, then I worked in the DRDO, then Delhi Police, then Juvenile Justice Board, then Tihar, and nowhere I got position of forensic psychologist. Somewhere I was senior psychologist, somewhere research scholar, somewhere capacity support officer, somewhere empaneled psychologist. So like this. So do not wait for that tag. That tag you can create for yourself. That is okay. Just look the organization or the opportunities where you can use your skills as a forensic psychologist, or you can learn something in that forensic field.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Yeah. Anybody else?
Ma'am, just a question. Can you tell us about the colleges which offer forensic psychology, masters in forensic psychology?
Masters, okay, there are 3 colleges which offers masters in forensic psychology. The one is National Forensic Sciences University. Second is Rashtriya Shakti University, RRSU, Rashtriya Raksha Shakti University, and they both are in Gujarat. One is in Madhya Pradesh. I do not remember the name, but I'll write down to the ma'am. Maybe she'll be able to tell. But that is in Madhya Pradesh, and they are also, and this is a new course over there. So the best universities for forensic psychologists, I would suggest that is in Gujarat, the National Forensic Sciences University, because they have their forensic laboratory as well. They have established approx 10 years ago a forensic psychology subject. So they have the best faculties, best opportunities. Then Rashtriya Raksha Shakti University is also a good university because they are working from last so many years in the crime, police, criminology, forensic psychology. So that is also a good university for masters. Those who wants to do MPhil, they do not have much option. Just one option they have, that is again National Forensic Sciences University, Gujarat, because this is the only university which is offering MPhil course. So other than that, in India, nobody is offering MPhil course. So you can go over there. Those who would like to do PhD. So for PhD, you do not need to look PhD in forensic psychology. No, because we do not have. You have to take admission in the PhD in psychology, and your topic should be related to the forensic, maybe related to the criminal, victim, police, law, judge, eyewitness, forensic sciences tools, forensic psychology tools like polygraph, or something like that. So for PhD in psychology with the topic of forensic will consider as a forensic psychology PhD. So these are the scope for you in
Okay.
education. Yeah, anybody wants to ask any other question? There are lots of people, 84 people I can see.
Any doubts
Any
regarding the session or forensic psychology? You can ask now. Please make use of this opportunity.
I guess no more question.
So
Okay.
I think we can end up the.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening me so patiently, and I hope you will be able to utilize this information and make this particular field a great field, and the cooperation and contribution from you guys is absolutely needed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So over to Aradhana now. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Valerie. And once again, thank you, ma'am, for clarifying all the doubts and queries by the students. I now request Mrs. Amrita Shetty, the Assistant Professor of the Department of Criminology, to propose the vote of thanks.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Yes, ma'am.
You do not know what you will earn tomorrow. Quote by Lukeman. Good afternoon to one and all present here. I, Amrita G. Shetty, Assistant Professor, UG Department of Criminology, would like to take this opportunity to thank each and everyone who helped in making this webinar a success. I would like to express my gratitude to our resource person, Mrs. Pooja Tomar, for explaining the subject matter in an extraordinary manner. Thank you, ma'am, for telling us about this upcoming trend. A special thanks to our dear principal, Dr. Juliet CJ, our vice principal, Dr. Janice Mary, for providing immense support to make this webinar a successful. I extend my gratitude to Mrs. Cecilia Farida Goes, IQAC coordinator, for being a constant pillar in all our activities. I also extend my gratitude to Ms. Sarik Ankita, HOD, UG Department of Criminology, for being the main lead of this event. I must thank the technical team as well, Dr. Kiran Prasad, IT coordinator, for being there from drafting the invites till the end of the webinar. A big thank you to our students, Mr. Hansel Rodriguez and Mr. Anthony Paul, for assisting the technical team. I also thank the volunteers who helped in this webinar. Lastly, to all our participants of this webinar, thank you for your presence and contribution in making this webinar a great success. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Pooja, ma'am. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope the purpose of this webinar we could serve.
Yes.
And now lots of people will get to know about the scope and they can get benefit from this webinar.
Yes, ma'am. It was a very informative session.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Students, please note, feedback link is posted in the chat box. Please fill the feedback. In 15 days, we will send you all your certificates. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have now come to the end of our informative session, and I hope this informative session will add value for your career perspective. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Aradhana.
Thank you, ma'am.